Hello, this is Molly Reamer with this week's Rituals of Returning video with more about our goddess of the month, Bast. Dare I say, this is all about the Bast. Okay, sorry about that. Anyway, you may notice I have two hands today. That is because I was inspired by Nikki sent me a little video of someone making a video iPhone stand using a coat hanger and kind of essentially attaching their phone around their neck with this rubber band and coat hanger and using it to film videos. And so I thought, well, they probably have one of those that's not a coat hanger. So I looked it up and they do in fact have one of those that's not a coat hanger that you can buy. And so I bought one and I'm trying it out. I have to say, it seems a little wiggly. So you're wiggly with your hands or one hand. I might not be using it correctly, but it's definitely like moving with me breathing and things like that. So this is just an experiment that we are all experimenting with. Plus I have to watch out how I pose my body because my legs are like right here and it's a little awkward. So anyway, long and boring introduction about that for you, about something that you don't really care about, which is the neck thing. But I do appreciate Nikki's suggestion to try something so that I can actually use both of my hands. Of course, now I'm not using either one of my hands, so it's kind of funny. Anyway, today we are going to explore some more about Bast as well as a secondary herbal ally for this month, which is raspberry from the Herbcrafter's Tarot, really reminding us to savor the sweetness of life. Just like marshmallow, our other herbal ally was designed to help us, or not designed, but one of the messages was to savor the sweetness of life. And that is how the raspberry is too, about savoring the sweetness of life. Also, I find one of raspberry's most potent messages, similar to roses, is that we savor the sweetness along with the thorns. There's thorns. Life exacts a price sometimes. It can draw blood. It can be sharp. It can be spiky. And we kind of have to move through the thorns in order to reach the sweetness. So I actually didn't mean to start with that, but it looks like I did. So I'm going to go ahead and continue. It must be my neck pose here that's making me talk about things that I hadn't intended to. So we're going to go ahead and jump on over to the Herbcrafter's Tarot book by Letitia Guthrie and Joanna Powell Colbert to see what they have to say about the three of earth, or raspberry, and what it has to tell us. So fill your basket with companionship and collaboration. Nourish your body and savor simple pleasures. This is a nice connection to Bast, who is a goddess of pleasure and delight and savoring. So what a nice compliment to her. And so an affirmation for you this week could be, I nourish my body, or I savor simple pleasures, or even I fill my basket with companionship and collaboration. And so they point out that the raspberry bushes overflow with flowers and fruit, and the ripe ones come off easily. Company brings joy to hard work. You have a responsibility to tend to the abundance you have been given. So another affirmation could be, I tend to the abundance I have been given. There's much to do with the fruitful raspberry. You can make jellies, pies, syrups, vinegars, baskets, and medicine. Teamwork multiplies productivity. Invite others to join you and trust your leadership and organizing skills. Approach people with clear expectations and agreements. As first-year raspberry canes create the foundation for second-year canes to fruit, create value for generations to come. Together with your community, you can build a strong legacy. And then raspberry tea, which I haven't drunk recently, but I used to drink a lot when I was during my childbearing years. Raspberry tea is rich with minerals. It tones weakened tissues. It energizes the body. And so raspberry also reminds us that we are competent and up to the task, but we also need to keep ourselves strong. So I am competent, and up to the task, and I keep myself strong. Also, raspberries are just plain delicious. So remember to enjoy the sweetness of life. I already said that, but another affirmation is, I enjoy the sweetness of life. And so some ritual suggestions with raspberry are to make raspberry leaf tea to nourish and delight your body. Harvest raspberries at the peak of summer for me. So raspberries classically are red, and that's how most people think of them. Raspberries around me that grow wild are black. So we have wild black raspberries. So harvest raspberries, whether they're red or black, if they're ripe at the peak of summer. Make jam with friends and enjoy it all year. And I just love nothing better than picking a wild raspberry off the cane and eating it while it's still warm from the sun. And you feel that sensation of you are actually eating, living food, something that has just been growing and it still has sunlight in it. And you're taking that sunlight directly into your body with that little berry. And so I love that as a morning ritual of usually about June, is to go out and see what raspberries are out there. I can reach them from my deck handily. That's really one of those little blessings of where I live is there's wild raspberries and they grow up behind the deck. Some people might consider that to be a negative. Why do we have all these thorns and bushes, thorn bushes behind our house? And I love that I can reach right off my deck and pick wild raspberries. And so in the summer, that becomes a little ritual of mourning for me, that I go pick a raspberry and have a taste of that, that living fruit, that sunlight. I joke sometimes that, the goddess can turn water and sunlight into wine every day, and that's the part of the miracle of being here, being on this earth, is that's the everyday magic right there, is the earth, the goddess, can turn water and sunlight into wine every day, or into sweet tasting, wonderful little raspberries. So I also have black berries, but they're not as sweet and tasty as raspberries, in my opinion. Okay, so I'm obviously a little distracted with my neck device here, so apologies for that. I'm gonna have to rethink my plans. But anyway, behold, two hands in use at once. And so now we have the Bast card from this nice little goddess knowledge cards deck that Teal sent me recently as a surprise. It came in last month, and it was kind of felt like an early birthday present. So I got this goddess knowledge cards. I actually picked the cards for this year in December and then put them together in little envelopes so that I'd have them when we hit the right point on the wheel of the year. And but as soon as I got that deck from her, I opened it and shuffled through to make sure I could get out any of the goddess cards that are on this year's wheel of the year. So, Bast, or Bastet, or Pasht, was the Egyptian goddess who appeared in cat form. The Egyptians highly revered cats, and the word for cat, mau, sounds familiar, also denoted light, and was also moved into cognate for the word for mother. The cat is a lunar animal and was also the solar animal. So I haven't talked about that much with Bast lately, is that she's both a sun goddess and a moon goddess. Since the cat is an earth animal, Bast is also an earth mother goddess, a giver of life and abundance, and in touch with her wild and instinctual nature, she's also the protector of women during childbirth. Like a cat, she's fiercely independent and belongs to no one but herself. So an affirmation for you this week could be, I belong to myself. Bast is one of the more joyful goddesses. Her elaborate festivals were renowned for joyful dancing. Embodying a cat's gentler aspects, Bast is a personification of life and fruitfulness. The quintessential life-affirming mother, she reminds us to be playful and relaxed like a cat, and to find occasions to celebrate life. And so one of the cards that we had for our opening video for this month was about embracing the sacred nature of the cattywampus way. And so this card and her playfulness reminds me to embrace the sacred nature of the cattywampus way. So I'm actually going to set both of those cards aside so that we can focus on the next one. So this one is the Bast card from the Goddess Guidance Oracle, which I've already given my disclaimers about continuing to use that deck. And she is associated with independence. An affirmation here is, your independence is a foundation for your strength and success. Your independence is a foundation for your strength and success. And so we're going to see, I have a little tiny child's drawing in my book too that is from Elena, who is now 15, and was probably about 4 or something when she drew that. So somehow it's still in my little book. It made me smile when I saw it today with that spirit of playfulness and fun. So your independence is a foundation for strength and success. Like the cat, you are fiercely independent, yet you also need affection and playful companions. Now is the time to balance your social interactions with solitude. So a question for you to consider is, how do you balance your social interaction with solitude? And an affirmation might be, I balance my social interactions with solitude. While you may ask others for their opinions, ultimately you must make your own decisions. Your freedom and independence are top priorities, so ensure that these characteristics are nurtured. And I will say, we need both. We need independence and we need connection. Both are vital to well-being and health. So some meanings of this card: spend time alone, give yourself permission to play. An affirmation might be, I give myself permission to play. Ask for your needs to be met. Another affirmation could be, my needs are met. Make your own decisions, work with cats, pay attention to your own pet cat, and or get a new cat. This is a dangerous suggestion. Molly told me I needed to get a new cat. But anyway, we actually have 4, Bast, she's agreeing with me. She hopped over there to say, yes, I am ready for a new cat. We actually have 4 cats. ourselves, and that is enough. We're definitely, 4 cats is a good two, possibly 2 cats too many. I shouldn't, don't let her hear you say that. No. Anyway, so we are closing with the Story Goddess Bast, the Bast Story Goddess Oracle card, which I've already read to you in the past, but I wanted to bring us back to our core theme of the month, which is love and being rooted in love. I am rooted in love is the affirmation, and letting yourself experience what you love, share what you love, delight in what you love. It is okay to live a life you love. I pause. So this is a practice. This is basically a practice and a prayer and an offering all in one. I pause and return to center. I breathe deep and listen. I lay a hand against my heart and choose. These things will lead me into a life I love. So may you take plenty of time to play this month. May you pause often and return to center. May you breathe deep and listen. And may you lay your hand against your heart. Remember the letting your heart be your compass. May you allow your heart to be your compass and let it lead you into a life you love. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. Keep living your magic, everybody. Bye-bye now.